Yo, what's going on? Welcome to another episode of Is Needed, the podcast, where we discuss real issues involving law enforcement in the community. It's your boy Ryan Tillman, founder of Breaking Barriers United, and I'm joined tonight by the one and only Mr. Oh No, it's the Popo. What's going on, Mr. AJ?
Not much, brother. Just sick. Here fighting the flu. How about you?
Oh, I'm doing good. I just called you a miss, but it's all good. We're going to keep pushing.
All right, we're going to push through it,
and there's a reason why I promise you, I got an excuse for how I'm acting right now, so we'll get into that later. We also have a special guest tonight, and I am so honored to have the Mrs. Ashley the Beast, a.k.a. Titan from the block, Hawkins, on tonight. So what's going on, Miss Ashley? How you doing tonight?
I'm great. How are y'all?
Oh, we doing good. So I want all of our listeners and viewers to know, like, this was actually the third take of this intro. Now, I don't usually take this many times to do this intro. It kind of usually just flows. But there's a good excuse. I just called my boy AJ a miss tonight. I messed up with my girl Ashley over here. I am like, the flu is like the plague right now, y'all. Like, it is out and about, and it's killing everybody right now.
Oh, yeah, it's taking people down. Taking people down. Just so y'all know what we're dealing with, 2 days ago in Ohio, it was 50 degrees, and there's 2 inches of snow on the ground right now, and it's still snowing.
50 degrees?
Yeah.
That's ridiculous. I heard somebody told me that it was like, in some places across the country, it's like negative 50.
Oh.
There's got to be like a certain point where it just gets too cold, where it just all feels the same. Like,
you just go out, you freeze.
Yeah, like
done.
There's got to be some places in this country where like when it just gets cold after below a certain point, it's just like it just all feels the same at this point.
Yeah. Ashley, what's the weather like where you're at?
It was 29 when I woke up this morning, and it was 70 last week.
See?
Oh, Lord Jesus, it's a fire.
Epidemic.
So it sounds like you need to come back. Did you guys record the Titan games in LA?
Yeah.
Oh, so how'd you like that experience?
I liked it. Wasn't a fan of the traffic, but I love the landscape. Yeah,
the traffic is no joke. So for those of you guys that don't know, if you guys haven't seen Dwayne The Rock Johnson's show, The Titan Games, it probably when did it launch? About 4 or 5 weeks ago, Ashley?
January 3rd was the first episode.
January 3rd. So Miss Ashley, the one and only, is one of the competitors on there, and let me just tell you, she is ridiculous. Like, she's a beast. Like, me and my wife were watching. I was like, sheesh. Like, she is doing work right now. It is so funny that we're actually going to be talking about health and wellness tonight while you got me and AJ over here sick as dogs right now. Like, it's not even funny. Like, my family, so I have a wife and I have 3 kids. I started getting sick like last Friday, which was no joke. You know, you get the little scratch in your voice or your throat, and you're like, ooh, like, this kind of hurts. You know what I mean? So you try to play it off, just thinking like maybe you got something in your throat. Like, the next day, bro, it was like a bus just hit me in the face. And I was like, oh, this is ridiculous. So then, you know, make matters worse, you fast forward a couple of days, my baby girl, she's like, gets the flu. And we thought it was teething at first because, you know, she's drooling a lot. And now we're thinking it's a flu because my wife got the flu. She had a fever on Friday, so I actually had to leave work early. And she just couldn't move. She had the body aches. So then then my boys, they got the fever last night. So I made like 2 runs to like CVS at 2:00 in the morning. Like, CVS and Walgreens just came up from the Tillmans like big time this week. Like, we dropped at least over $100 in both of those stores. It's not even funny. Like, they probably making some major bread right now. So it's been terrible. But tonight's show, guys, we do want to talk about health and wellness and the importance of physical fitness in the profession of law enforcement. So I thought, what better to have Ashley on the show tonight. So again, Ashley, thank you so much, and forgive me for my lackluster ability to convey certain messages right now.
I appreciate y'all allowing me to be here.
No problem. So tell us a little bit about you, Ashley. Where are you from? How long you been working in law enforcement and stuff like that?
Originally from Madison, North Carolina. It's right there near the Virginia line. Grew up there, and then I moved to Greensboro 8 years ago when I joined the Greensboro Police Department.
Oh, wow. That was legit. So one thing I noticed about you and you made it perfectly clear to me before we started tonight that you are 32, because I was like, we both 31. She was like, no, I'm 32. And I was like, all right, my bad. I'm not about to fight you about it. Like I see,
lose that fight.
I seen what you can do. You putting boulders through, doors and stuff like that. So I was like, you right. I'm 31. I ain't gonna fight you on that.
juice. My bad.
My bad. You got the juice. So the reason I asked that is because all three of us are pretty much around the same age, and law enforcement is this evolution of law enforcement is changing tremendously by the year. And so it's so cool to be, talking to people that are like-minded like myself and like AJ, and being in this profession, because a lot of things are changing and some people don't want to recognize that within the profession. I'm actually going to Minnesota on the 26th and 27th of this month to talk to a lot of commanders in law enforcement about these changes and stuff like that. So it's a phenomenal opportunity to be able to speak. And the topic that me and AJ wanted to talk about tonight was the health and wellness and the importance of maintaining some type of physical fitness in law enforcement. And it's super, super important. And so, AJ, tell me why you think, because before we get to Ashley, tell me why you think a physical fitness and health and wellness is so important in law enforcement.
First and foremost, it's important because you could save a life, including yours. There's a lot of times where there have been a lot of times where I have found myself chasing someone. And then when you catch them, like, it's not tag, right? Like, if you chase someone down the alley for half a mile, you don't just touch them and they freeze, right? Like, chances are that they're still going to try to get away from you and they're going to fight you when you catch them. So, when I think of health and wellness, first and foremost, you got to go home at the end of the night, or you have to make sure that people can continue to live their happy lives due to you being healthy. And second of all, I think that it's important to be healthy with this job because it's stressful. It's a very stressful job. You see very bad things. And, when you're healthy, you can live longer and deal with those things a little better. So, yeah.
Exactly. And I always, and backing up real quick, one of the things we always do on this podcast is we always acknowledge the officers that have recently lost their lives in the line of duty. And I can't remember what number we were at from the last episode, because obviously we record this podcast every 2 weeks, but this week it's up to 15. And so I know that's significantly more than the last time we were on, because I think the last time we were on, it was like at 6 or 8 or something like that. Don't quote me on that. But some of the hard ones to stomach. I mean, any death in law enforcement is hard to stomach. Any death in general, whether it be law enforcement or not law enforcement, it's hard to stomach. But the ones that occur because of like a heart attack on duty, or some type of respiratory failure doing a physical fitness test on duty, those are some of the hard things to stomach. And so, those are some of the things that we have to worry about. And that's what I'm thinking about is, how can we alleviate some of these things from occurring? So Ashley, tell me why fitness is so important to you, because obviously you're in physical shape, you know what I mean? And it was evident. If you guys haven't watched the last episode of the Titan games, please go on to NBC.com and check it out, because Ashley's on there competing, and she didn't just win, like,
oh, she dominated.
Yeah, you dominated, like for sure.
Like, she
dominated.
walked the key up. Like, she wasn't even running to put the key in at the end. She strolled it was like a day in the park.
Yeah, she was pointing. She was pointing in the stands and stuff like that, flexing on folks. Took a stop,
coffee break.
Yeah, took a coffee break. Looked back, said, "Y'all ready? Y'all ready for me to get these fireworks launched?" So, you know what I mean? She beasted through it. And so tell me how you got to that point of competing on the Titan games, and tell me why physical fitness is so important to you as a police officer. And not only that, not only being a police officer, but being a female and a police officer. And I want you to know too, you're actually the first female guest that we've had on this podcast since we've launched it. So it's pretty cool. We have so many women that reach out to us about, get into the law enforcement profession and the physical agility and stuff. So tell us why physical fitness is so important. Has it always been important, or, did it just become important when you got into law enforcement?
Well, it's always been important to me. Ever since I was a little kid, I always, played sports my whole life. I've always been very competitive. And I think that just helped me learn a lot of responsibility, because you have to be responsible with your choices. From doing your homework and splitting that with all the practices that you have to go to, because I played multiple sports my whole life. And then I continued playing in college, and I also double majored while in college.
Sheesh.
playing soccer. Then when I got to the police department, I thought the academy was a breeze, because I already had all that fitness experience with collegiate soccer, that it was just a walk in the park for me, honestly. And then I just continued it on because I always have had that competitive drive with obstacle course races. So I continued some level of fitness, but I wasn't at this level that I'm at now. I was more like a cardio bunny, if you want to put it that way. But I've always had that farm girl like strength, that homegrown strength. And then I got into lifting weights because I realized that, there's some big guys that I work with, 300 plus pounds on a good day. And I began thinking, well, what am I going to do if they get shot? Because I'm a small framed female, and I want to be sure that I can not only take care of myself, but take care of someone else in case something like that happens, or a victim, someone that can't take care of themselves. I want to be sure that I can protect them as well.
Got you. So what sports did you play in college?
Soccer.
Or you said that, my bad. Where did you play college at?
Where did I play college at?
I'm telling you. Where did you play soccer, or what college did you play soccer at? My bad. I'm telling you, y'all.
Got it. We
got it.
Hey, just so all of our listeners and viewers know that Michael Jordan did play the best game of his life when he had the flu. So I'm about to Michael Jordan my way through this podcast. So going back to my question. What college did you play soccer at? My bad.
At Pfeiffer University. It was a Division II school in the village of Meisenheimer, which is north of Charlotte.
Meisenheimer. That sounds like a fantasy land from like Lord of the Rings or something like that.
But it was actually the village of Meisenheimer was the town that it's in.
Common spelling.
Yeah, common spelling. Common spelling for Pfeiffer too. The P silent.
See.
So Pfeiffer.
Pfeiffer. I just spelled it with an F. So I don't know.
Hey, I don't even know. I can't even begin to spell that name. I'm telling you, it sounds like a fantasy land. But so, okay, the reason I asked that is because I think I mentioned this before to a lot of our viewers and listeners that I actually played college football at University of Nevada, Las Vegas. And so for me, and I know AJ is a former athlete as well, it was kind of just ingrained in me the level of physical fitness that we had to have before we got into the profession. And so when I got into the profession, the physical agility test it was just a breeze. And, sometimes I'll get questions, from people, that are trying to get into law enforcement. They'll say, hey, how can I prepare for the physical agility? And without being rude, I just want to be like, work out. Like, it's pretty simple. It's just, you got to work out. And, that kind of transitions, over to, once you get into the profession, should we maintain a level of physical fitness? And my personal belief on that is you should. Like AJ, like you mentioned, you never know. There may be a time where you actually have to, save somebody's life. And, whether it be you have to run, drag somebody out of some place, pick somebody up. And I would hate for like my family member or one of my members of my family, like my wife or my kids, to be in a situation where they call the police and I have some officers show up who was not physically prepared to handle that situation. And not only does my wife and kids get hurt, but he gets hurt as well because of his lack of preparation. And I think that sometimes we get so lackadaisical or so comfortable in this profession because once you're in, it's like, oh, okay, I'm good now. I don't have to maintain my level of health. But I think it's the exact opposite. I think we actually need to maintain something and maintain our physical health, because if not, we're doing not only ourselves a disservice, our families a disservice, but the people that we serve. And so that kind of leads me into another question for you, Ashley. One of the things that, it's been said and it's been said many times is, should women that enter into the profession of law enforcement be held to the same standard as men? And
absolutely.
And why do you believe that?
Because I feel like, back in the old days, a man always wants to like protect a woman. But I think in this profession, you need to show that you're on the same level as them. So they're not so worried about you. They can worry about what they need to do right then and right there.
Yeah. Not only that, but I feel like that's a good way to shut the doubters up, right? Like I feel like in a majority of fields where majority of the employees or whatever are guys, it's easy to look at a female and go, oh, she has different standards. To where if you go through those same exact standards, you could go, hey, I did better than you did on the test. So what you got to say,
Exactly. And one of the things I've always said too, because I agree with you, that they should, have the same standards as men. And as quite frankly, some of you guys are killing some of the other men that are already in the profession. But one of the things I truly believe is that criminals, they're not going to look at you or take it more easy on you because you're a female. No. If they trying to get away, they don't care if you're a female or not. They're going to go if not harder, because they know that they can probably, or in their mind, perceptually, they think they can get over on you a lot easier. And so I agree with you 100% that I think that there is a level of maintaining, if not the same type of shape as men, but even better, just because people will try. I've seen it happen. And so for all of the women that are out there that want to become police officers, that's something important for you guys to recognize, that you can't get treated differently. And it's the same thing for men. Men shouldn't get treated differently for any other thing as well. So Ashley, tell me about some of the challenges that you faced being a female in law enforcement.
I would say, finding that line in between. Can I cuss on here?
Do your thing.
Well, finding that fine line in between, the command presence and just absolutely being because a lot of women can come across as being, but they got to know when enough's enough. It's all about command presence and letting them know that you mean business, but at the same time, you can't come across as baby mama drama.
Yeah, no, I agree. And the reason because I don't typically, we don't typically cuss on here, but the reason I don't mind that right now is because at some point in time in our profession, it ain't all flowers as people like to think. You know what I mean? There's so many times where me and AJ will go to a call, and in an ideal world, everybody likes to think that everything should be flowers and all potpourri-ish, and that everything I go and say, hey sir, do me a favor, sit down, and everything is going to go all proper. You show up and be like, hey sir, do me a favor, go over there, and everything is going to go all kosher. But it doesn't always happen like that. And sometimes I know men will call women officers out of name, just like any other time, like if you're on the street, randomly on the street. And so those important factors that I'm looking at right now, as far as whether or not, or thinking about things that we face as a police officer, especially as a female, are important for our listeners to understand. Like, hey, look, this isn't just no kosher profession, and at the end of the day, it's not going to be all nice and dainty as we might think it may be. So I totally agree with you on that. What you got on that, AJ?
Yeah, I think you hit it right on the head when you said command presence. I can't tell you how many times I've seen smaller male officers be involved in uses of force because the criminals or suspects don't take them serious, and they think that there's a better chance they could get away. And the same thing applies with female officers, right? Like a majority of times when a female officer gets out of the cruiser, in the suspect's mind, they're like, you know what, that's a female. I could take her. So if I was a female, I would take my physical fitness that much more serious because I know that I'm going to be tested on the streets that many more times. So you hit it right on the head. If you get out the cruiser, you have a good stature about yourself, you're in good shape, that suspect's going to look at you and go, you know what? I don't feel like becoming a victim to the Titan game beast today. So I'm going to just go ahead and go with the program because I seen her throw that big old piece of wood through that door on the show. So I'm going to go ahead and lay it down.
Exactly. It's all about appearance too.
Yes.
I mean, you don't want to look sloppy in your uniform when you're pulling over a bad guy. I mean, it's all about the way they're going to perceive you.
Absolutely. And with health comes confidence, and confidence is a very major key with this job. If you're confident in your actions and your abilities, you'll probably have a long career in law enforcement. If you're not, you'll probably have a short career. So the healthier you are, the more in shape you are, the more confidence you're going to have, and it's going to help you in your career.
There's some officers out there that I've seen that just they pull up and just look sloppy, and I'm like, did you not look at yourself in the mirror before you started work today? Your pants all saggy, you ain't got nothing hemmed up, you look like you ain't hit the gym. And I'm not here to call out people that are officers that are not in the gym, because I'm not saying you got to be in the gym 5 days a week. That's not what I'm saying. All I'm saying is that we have to recognize as police officers, hey, there's a certain level of fitness that we should maintain. And the reality of it is, there was a question hey, should there be physical fitness standards within law enforcement standardized standardized across the board. If you ask me, I think we should. One of the things that it's hard for me to wrap my head around is that when you want to get hired as a police officer, you have to go through a physical fitness training test. But then as soon as you get hired, you no longer have to do that test anymore. So why is it important at the beginning of getting hired, but now is no longer technically important, throughout your career? Now I understand that, a lot of times they can't do that because of all these different lawsuits, and we live in America where people sue for everything, and you want to say a person's out of shape or this or that, now you got a lawsuit in your hands. So I understand why they probably try to stay away from it, but I don't necessarily agree with it, just because by maintaining a certain level of physical fitness throughout your career, not only are you going to help yourself, you're going to help your family, you're going to help your department. And again, there's so many use of forces that you can avoid just based on your command presence, like you said. I wish I knew the amount of uses of forces I avoided by just my mere command presence. Like I don't think you can measure that, but I know I probably avoided some where I showed up, or some of my partners that are in shape showed up, and a person has looked at them and like, yeah, I'm not messing with this dude today. Or same thing with you, like I ain't messing with her. You know what I mean? Like, because there's some that you show up and you like, oh yeah, if I'm gonna fight, today's gonna be the day, because I know I could probably get away with it. So those are so important for all of our listeners, especially our police officers out there right now, to understand. And it's not the easiest thing, but it's also not that hard to just get in the gym at least 2 or 3 times a week. Start your day with cardio, do something. Eat right. You don't need to be a beast like, Miss Hawkins over here. Yeah. You know what I mean? Or myself, I'm not going to, showcase too much, But
and it just makes you feel better too. I mean, after a long shift or the start of a shift, you don't have to go in there all hardcore, but it's just a way to release.
Yeah.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah, absolutely. We've talked about it on the podcast before about having an outlet, just because of like what the job entails, and like what we see and things that we have to experience. And for me, that's a phenomenal outlet, You go out there, you leave it at the gym, and you come out with something, you come out more confident, you come out stronger, faster, et cetera.
Exactly. I mean, being married to another officer, just the stress level alone is enough to make or break you. Yeah. So just everyone needs that outlet in this profession.
Yeah. So I wanted to actually ask you about that, Ashley. On the show, I know that you said you come from a long line of police officers.
Yeah.
So what was their initial reaction when you told them that you wanted to go in law enforcement?
My grandfather was proud. My dad was a little more hesitant. He's like, well, why do you want to do that? He's just very protective. So he knew that I'd be able to stand up for myself. So he wasn't too worried about it, but still he worried because it is law enforcement. So
yeah, I have to be honest. If the Lord blesses me with a child and I have a daughter,
he will. He will, y'all. Just so y'all know, we working on that.
They try to talk that into existence. But if I have a daughter and she tells me that she wants to be in law enforcement, of course I'm going to support her. But deep down inside, I'm not going to say that I wouldn't be worried about her.
Yeah,
I could agree with that, and especially having a new daughter. I was just telling who was I telling? Oh, I was telling my father-in-law, because I told you, we've been sick this week, and when my boys get sick and they're crying and stuff like that, like it's hard, but I'm like, hey, we gonna tough it out, boys, fellas, we gonna tough it out. But it was the weirdest thing, like when my baby girl was crying, and like it was just this weird feeling, like it was different, like that's my baby girl right there. And so I would have to agree with AJ, and I'm all for, I always tell all our listeners, like, I think now is the best time to be a police officer. And if my kids wanted to be a police officer, I would encourage them. But, part of me has like a double standard almost towards my daughter, because if she told me like, AJ, it would be, I'm not saying I would prevent her and say no to it, but because she's my baby girl, I know like, that might be a lot harder than, my boys telling me, hey, Dad, I'm gonna go ahead and continue the legacy and become an officer.
I think that's a cool thing, what Ashley's doing and what Ashley has proven. She's proven to us that, hey, she could do the job and she could do it better than we can, right? Because I'll tell you right now, I'm not swinging that big old piece of wood to that door like you did. So kudos to you, Ashley. Kudos to you.
No, straight up. And it's Man, what you're doing, and I'm sure you realize this, but you're an example for so many women out there right now. And just so y'all know, like Ashley has a home of beasts. Not only is she a beast, but she has like 2 dogs that she was showing us. And so that's what's in the background right now. You know, I would not step foot up in the Hawkins house at all. You know, not because I'm worried about bullets coming at me, but because I'm worried about the beast and the dogs and, you know, her husband, everybody coming at me. So
I picture it being like a Mortal Kombat video game. Like you enter the house, like level 1 is the dogs.
Oh.
And then you go to like the next boss, and then you got to face the husband.
my husband. Yeah.
Yeah. And then like the final boss is like Ashley. She comes out and she's like,
with this big old boulder, like, are y'all ready? Finish him. Hey, don't make me laugh too hard, bro, because I'm about to start coughing, bro. Hold on, I gotta calm myself
She-Hulk
down.
will get you.
I gotta calm myself down.
She-Hulk, I like that.
Is that her name?
She-Hulk.
Oh, She-Hulk. Oh, that's legit. See, even the name. I wonder what y'all kids' name is. You guys have kids yet?
Not yet.
Well, I wonder what their name's gonna be like.
I'm trying to push kids on people, right? What's wrong?
Hey, I'm just saying, you know, if kids is a beautiful thing. The Lord said, "Be fruitful and multiply," y'all. So, you know, stop taking so long. But yeah, I'm sure you already know this, Ashley. But you're probably an example for so many women out there that want to become police officers. We get hit up. Me and AJ get hit up on the regular about, you know, people going in or women trying to go into the profession. And so, what is your goal to accomplish in this profession? Like, how high do you want to make it?
I don't know that, you know, rank is necessarily something that I'm interested in. I just want to, I guess, make an impact on people, whether it's people in the agency or people in the community. I just want to make sure there's a better relationship, and at the end of the day, come home.
Nice.
I heard that.
Nice. You know, and people often ask me that too, like how high, you know, do I want to make it, or, you know, what rank do I want to achieve? But I think you can achieve change at any level. You know, sometimes you can often achieve the most change at just as a line level officer. Not to say I don't want to, you know, strive to promote or anything like that, but because I also recognize that there is value in being able to be in a position of rank to also change things. But I think you can change things at any level. And unfortunately, I think sometimes, you know, as officers, we get so caught up in a promotion or doing this that it kind of gets you out of character, and it kind of gets you start doing the wrong things for the wrong reasons. You know, you start trying to, you know, impress everybody when typically you wouldn't try to impress anybody if you're just being you. So I think that's important to notate. Like, you know, we shouldn't do things for a rank or stature or anything like that. We should do things because it's the right thing to do. And so
I agree.
You know, all of the women out there that want to be police officers, please, you know, Ashley's a great example of what it takes. You know, just the mere story. I think your story, you know, in itself was pretty cool and phenomenal after watching the Titan game. So that's pretty legit. So do any of you guys have any funny stories? Because if you guys don't, I have one. But funny stories of maybe either like a use of force or something that you guys got into, and, you know, because of your health and wellness or physical fitness or lack thereof, you were a little winded. I have a funny story, but if y'all have some, I want y'all to go first while I cough over here on the side.
I got one.
Let Ashley go.
So I was probably 3-year-old rookie, and there was this call where this man was on a roof trying to get into this house, and he kept like checking the doors. And, you know, I was messaging, you know, the girl that was going on the call with me. I was like, you know, we're about to chase this guy because he's going to run. Because it was like, you know, in one of our government funded housing. And so we pull up and we get out of the car, and here he comes around the building, and he does the whole pull your pants up like I'm about to take off running on you. Took off running. There's these clotheslines that are like right here.
Oh yeah,
like,
yeah.
So you gotta like
so nose
make sure
high.
You don't hit them. So I chased him like, I don't know, 200-300 yards, and he finally laid down. And I looked behind me. I'm like, well, where's the other girl?
Oh.
And she had actually ran into not the clothesline, but the post for the clothesline. And the guy actually pooped his pants.
To make icing on the cake.
But since I ran, he had to go in the back of another officer's car.
There you go.
Hey, straight up. Like, hey, straight up. Like, hey, y'all, I don't know about y'all, but he gonna have to sit up in your car. He ain't coming up in my car.
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh, secures my cruiser.
Hey, yeah, that is terrible. Now, when you went to, because obviously when at the end of this foot pursuit, did you like jump on top of him and handcuff him?
No.
Okay.
Because he had already laid down on the sidewalk like 5 feet away. I was like, okay, but I did handcuff him. But I didn't search him or anything because another male officer was walking up. I was like, you got it from here.
Yep,
Hey, ain't that the perfect time to have a male officer like, hey, he's a male, so I'm gonna need you to go ahead and search over there. That's
one way
terrible.
to turn the tables.
Oh, that's terrible. See, I thought, you were gonna tell me like you ran and then as you jumped on top of him, like you realized like you started smelling something a little funny, look down at your shoe and saw something a little brown.
That's what I was waiting for.
Because AJ's had an experience like that. You can refer back to episode 2 of the podcast. Only his experience, it was a little bit more yellowish, if you know what I mean.
Yeah,
AJ, you got any stories, bro?
I do. Actually, this is funny since you brought that up. Same exact hospital, except I work for the current department that I work for. And I'm at the hospital doing follow-up out of an investigation. It was like a crash or something like that. So I'm on one end of the hospital. And coincidentally, we have officers from the same precinct that I work. So we're like on the same radio channel in the hospital, but on the other side. And they're taking in like a combative patient who was refused at the jail, right? So they need to get checked out at the doctor in order to get approved to go to jail, right? So, we're doing our investigative work. I'm talking to the victim or the suspect. I can't remember out of this crash, getting the information, blah, blah, blah. And then all of a sudden I hear on the radio, like, hey, we're at such and such hospital, like officer in trouble, like get here now. So I'm like, perfect. Like, what are the odds that I'm at the same hospital? We're on the same channel. I used to work at this hospital, so I know my way around.
Yeah.
Keep in mind, they changed the hospital up a little bit, but it's still, basic layout. So I'm like,
bet.
I look at my partner, I'm like, follow me, right?
Yeah,
like,
I got this.
I'm in shape. Like,
I got
I'm
this.
going to beat you anyway, right? So we take off, run down the hallways. I'm busting open these doors. We get to the main lobby, and it's a big hospital. It's like, downtown in a major city. So we're sprinting through the lobby. Everybody's looking at us like, oh, what's going on? In my head, I'm like, I look so cool right now, right?
Looking
so
like Will Smith from Bad Boys.
Exactly, right? I'm like, can't look cooler. So in front of me are 2 glass doors, and they have like the push bar in the center of the door that you push to open. So I'm like, straight from the movies, right? Like, I'm kicking this door open, right?
Oh, I know where this is going.
So when I tell you that I'm 6'3", I weigh 220 pounds. I work out a decent amount. I'm in decent shape. I'm not in the best shape, but I'm in decent shape. I kicked this door with all of my might, and it did not budge. Right? Boom! There's pictures on the wall that are shaking. Now, keep in mind, we're in the main lobby of this hospital, so people are looking like, like, did he just kick a glass door and like nothing happened? So what do? I size it up again. I'm like, okay, hold up. I got a bad kick.
Don't even trip. Watch out.
Boom, kick it again. Nothing happens. Finally, this nurse runs to the door. She swipes her card. The door is open. We run in. We take care of what we take care of. So I come back. I'm like, I had to break the door, right? Like,
it's got to be a crack there.
Something happened.
Hey, SARS, come over here. Come take this report for this damaged property.
Hey, the door is perfectly fine. Come to find out, they moved the psych ward of the hospital to that area. So they put like reinforced glass doors with like magnetic locks.
I can't even laugh that hard, bro. You gonna make me start coughing, bro.
It was so embarrassing. Like, my partner Jones caught me so hard. He was like, hey, so you just can't kick through glass doors now?
Hey, no, I think we just found the title of our podcast, bro. Door 1, AJ 0, bro.
At least I broke through a door.
Oh, shots fired. Shots fired, bro. AJ,
yeah, help. Yeah,
hey, your leg still sore, bro? Hey, your leg still sore, bro?
Oh, hey, it was bad. It pushed me back. Like the pictures on the wall were. It was bad. It was embarrassing. Ashley, I needed you. Ashley.
Oh yeah, Ashley, because she could have just probably put her shoulders down, just went straight through it, bro.
Literally, just.
I thought what you were gonna say, bro, is like as you like kick it, you just got your partner just comes and just pushes the door open and just goes through.
Nah, it wasn't budging.
Because honestly, how many times do we know in our profession where we'll go and try to bust a door down without checking the handle first and the whole door is already unlocked? That mess is hilarious. So I got a story. So one time I'm on patrol. I'm doing my thing. It's chilling. It's a Sunday afternoon. Things are calm. Things are quiet. So I do a traffic stop, in the city or whatever on this off street. And so as I do the traffic stop, I light him up. Dude pulls over, and it was funny because like I had seen him like probably like 5 minutes before I lit him up, and so they kind of knew like, oh yeah, like this dude's about to pull us over. So me just kind of just being lackadaisical, which looking back I shouldn't have. As I do the traffic stop, the passenger side door opens, and I'm like, what in the Mickey Vicky is going on right now? So I see dude get out, and you know how stuff just sometimes happens in slow motion. Like I know I'm not seeing what I'm seeing right now. Like, so passenger gets out and just starts running, bro. And I'm like, he go. Sorry to our listeners and viewers, y'all. Every time they make me laugh, I can't start coughing. So anyways, I'm looking like, dog, this fool just started running on me. So now I'm in a bind. Like, I'm like, do I stay with the car or do I chase after this dude? So I just decided like, I'm just going to go get this dude. So I'm like, I'm in shape. I'm good. I'm a former college football player. I got wheels, I'm probably faster than the average person. And so I get out and start running. I'm like, whoo, bam, I'm good. Kind of like you in my mind. I'm thinking about Will Smith from Bad Boys, just looking all nice and stuff. Got my drop down holster and everything, looking all clean. I don't know how far this dude ran, but it felt like my man running like 2 miles. It probably only ended up being like 2 laps on a track, but I never forget, like the distance he started gaining was like more and more and more and more. And I just remember keying up the radio like, he went over the fence. He went that way. And they're like, what did he say? And I'm like, my man jumped the fence. My man jumped the fence that way. Dog, my partners was clowning me so hard, bro. Like, dog, like you just let that fool get away from you. I was like, hey, man. Hey, it's all fun and games until you in that foot pursuit and you ain't did your cardio for the week, bro. That was one of the worst feelings. And when your chest is like burning because you were just running, like you just feel gassed.
Oh yeah.
That was like the worst experience. So that's why I say it is probably better to get that stress on that treadmill than to get into it when you get on that foot pursuit, because that is not the time.
Yeah. And that's something that people don't take into consideration. Like, we have to do so many things, like, while we're chasing suspects. Like, we have to air, right? Like, we have to get on the radio in a calm voice, Ryan, and let them know, like, hey, we're northbound on this street. We have to be aware of our surroundings. We have to keep our eye on the suspect. We have to be cautious of our tactics. We have to know where we're at, right? So, like, street signs, like, we have to hop the fence. We have to, like, pie corners. Like, there's so much more that goes into it. So, like, physical fitness should be, like, the least of our worries while we're going.
Yeah, it should just be natural.
Exactly. That should be something we don't have to worry about.
So I actually, when I had first started the academy, or actually, no, I had already graduated the academy, but when I was still in really, really good shape with like running a lot, what I would actually do is like when I would get tired at the end of like a 2 or 3 mile run, I would actually like mimic calling out a foot pursuit or something like that. And I was just telling this kid yesterday, because he's in training, and I was like, man, there's nothing to say that you can't, when you're running out on the street or something like that, call out a foot pursuit when you're tired, because that's probably the place you want, instead of ending up like me and I couldn't call out nothing, because let's just say like something did go awfully wrong and like I got hurt, or I'm in this big old drag out fight and I can't put out on the radio where I'm at because I'm too tired. Like, that's not cool. And so, that's why I strongly encourage all of our listeners, if you're a police officer or going into the profession, you have to maintain that physical fitness, not just to look cool, not just to look all good and stuff, but, it's important. It can honestly save yours or your life or your partner's life one day as well. So, those are, I'm sure there's so many crazy experiences that I can go on for days, but it's hard, man. I got this cough that's just ridiculous. So I gotta limit myself. But let's move into real quick before we move on to the Q&A, and then we move into fair or foul. This podcast is brought to you by the one and only Breaking Barriers United. We're doing some phenomenal work out there. We actually will be traveling to Minnesota on the 26th and 27th. I'm actually teaching a class for Caliber Press, and so that's going to be good work. Looking forward to it, but our organization will be nothing without all of our listeners, our viewers. So I want to thank you guys, and AJ's doing some phenomenal work. Tell me what you got going on tomorrow, AJ.
Another high school. Actually, going back to my alma mater, speaking to some kids out there with one of my sergeants, and just trying to make that impact, build that bridge.
Perfect. And then one of the things that we have coming up, and Ashley, if you're available, we are actually on August 1st having the first annual It's Needed conference where law enforcement educators and city officials will meet. I will announce on our podcast, our special guest, Gordon Graham. He'll be there to talk the beginning half of the morning. And then we have a man by the name of Eric Thomas, E.T. the hip hop preacher. Yeah. I will finally make that announcement on this podcast. I'll make the announcement on Instagram. But E.T. is a phenomenal dude, one of the number one motivational speakers in the world. He'll be there to close us out at the end of the day. And then we have another guy by the name of Johnny Woo, who's a magician. And he will be doing some performing for us at lunchtime and giving a talk as well. So if you want more information about that, go to breakingbarriersunited.com and look under It's Needed, and you'll see all the information you need to attend that conference. If you are not a police officer, not an educator, or not a city official, tickets will be limited to just the general public. And so I need to highlight that if you are not one of those three things, you can still come, but tickets will be limited. So you're going to want to get on there and purchase a ticket a lot sooner than later because tickets are limited. You may not be able to get that chance and opportunity to come hear these phenomenal people. So anything else I missed, AJ?
Yeah, I heard you got like a really good host for that event as well. I'm not sure who he is.
Oh yes.
Somebody amazing.
Yeah, he cool. He light skinned. He light skinned. He kind of goes by, oh no, it's a popo. But yeah, our one and only AJ is actually going to be hosting the whole event. So shout out to AJ. Thanks for coming out, AJ. We can't wait to have you. We're going to have breakout speakers there to talk about all types of things like active shooter, mental health, city relationships, you name it, we're going to have it there. So again, the one and only AJ is going to be there to host it. And I also want to make a quick other shout out to my boy, the man, the myth, the legend, the guy behind the camera, the Savage. He found out that he is having a boy today. So we knew they were expecting their first baby, but they're having a boy. So shout out to them. So any announcements that you have, Ashley, or anything like that you want people to know? When's the next episode? When are we going to be able to see you again on the Titan games?
This Thursday, Valentine's Day, is the last episode where they crown the last two Titans. And then after that is 3 more episodes where it's called Battle of the Titans, and the 16 Titans battle each other until there's one male and one female.
Let's go. Let's get it. How you feeling about this?
Oh, I can't wait. Now, I can't ask her, and she's biting her lips right now. She's like, oh, you better not ask me what happens. I'm not going to ask what happens. I'm not going to be the spoiler.
I work with a bunch of police. I've been interrogated for months.
Sure.
I'm going to ask when we get off the podcast. I want to know.
We're excited.
Make sure you all go tune in and watch Miss Hawkins compete, because again, not only is she doing great work in her day job, but it's people like her that just make this badge look that much better and encourage that much more people to do this job. So shout out to you, Ashley. Now I want to get into a couple questions that were posed on Instagram yesterday. This one's kind of funny, actually. Can short people be cops?
I mean, how short we talk now, player?
Don't make me laugh.
I'm 5'4".
Oh,
wow.
Are you? Oh,
yeah.
Look, she just stunned on us. She said, I'm 5'4". We'll take both of y'all. What's up?
Yeah, what's up?
Bad.
Yeah,
my bad.
She flexed on us too when she did that. Y'all can't see it.
So the answer is yes.
Yes.
Really good cops.
Short people can be cops. So what can one do to ensure one is in good shape for the academy? Work out. That's self-explanatory, guys. Just work out, run, do what you got to do. This is a really good one. So, would you guys ever consider training any martial arts such as Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu or Judo? The techniques used in grappling sports has been shown to be very successful and beneficial to law enforcement. So that's the question. What's your guys' take on that?
Ashley?
I would say yes. I haven't personally done anything like that because I'm so involved in, moving a barbell, but I think it would definitely come in handy.
Yeah, I would agree. There's a lot of guys on my precinct who are trained in BJJ, so Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, and they're animals. I mean, if something's going down, I want them to show up. So yeah, absolutely, just training something.
And so, and I'll second that. I definitely think it's good. My personal take is that if you just do something outside of your normal routine, it could just be working out. It can be, boxing. It could be playing in the flag football league. It can be Brazilian jiu-jitsu. Obviously, those things are good because they're beneficial. It's another tool for your belt. So that way you don't have to always jump to lethal force. Maybe something that allows you to resort to a less lethal option. And I actually that's a good point. I think sometimes, and tell me correct me if I'm wrong, guys, but I think sometimes, unfortunately, officers have used to lethal force because they didn't possess the correct physical health that they needed for this job. And here's what I mean by that. And this is just me, calling a spade a spade. I've seen videos before where people have pulled out their gun on somebody that probably didn't need a gun to be pulled on them because they were so tired that they put themselves in a position to where now they had to use lethal force. Whereas if they would have been in a semi-decent shape, they might have been able to resort to a less lethal option. And so I'm not now, like I said, I know it's kind of a blanket statement, but my point is that I think going back to, I know we discussed, why maintaining a certain level of physical shape is good to help you and your partners out, but I also think it's good to help the community out because, if you're in good shape, if you do fight with somebody and you can prevent yourself from having to use lethal force because you're in shape, what's your guys' opinion on that?
I agree with that. And I think it's also, you have to train your mind too. So you have to constantly role play in your head. What are you going to do in different scenarios? That way you're always prepared and you don't have to think about it on the spot because it's just going to come to you.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. It's part of the job. I mean, it's so vital for your own health, for your partner's health, for the community. It's so vital. It's literally just part of the job. Take it serious.
Exactly. So like I said, I don't want to beat a dead horse. I'm not trying to call out people that are out of shape or anything like that because trust me, I'm not the most in shape person either. I do like to eat my donuts straight up. I'm like I said, it is what it is. But what I am saying though is I think we have to take some personal accountability as police officers and make sure that we're doing something to maintain our level of physical fitness and health because it will help with everything. Your mental capacity, your physical capacity, you name it will help. So those are some of the questions. If you guys have any other questions, just reach out to us on our DM and just ask them, and we'll try to answer them the best we can. So without further ado, I do want to get into this fair or foul. AJ has been telling me. So AJ went on a ski trip last week or a snowboarding trip. And so when he hit me up, I was talking to him and he was like, dog, I got a fair or foul for this week. And so I want you guys to know, we don't go over these fair or fouls before we get on this podcast because it's the best when it's most genuine. We get the most genuine response. And so I've been dying for a whole week and a half to hear this fair or foul. So I'm gonna let you take it over, AJ, because I've been dying to hear this fair or foul. So go ahead.
Yeah, all right. So I'll start from the beginning. So last month, one of my buddies I work with, he walks up to me. He goes, AJ, you ever been skiing? And I'm like, no. He goes, you ever been snowboarding? I'm like, no. He goes, well, you should come to this ski trip that the wife and I go on every year. I'm like, absolutely, sign me up. So I talked to my partner. I'm like, hey, you should come too. He's like, absolutely. So my partner and his wife have skied before. His wife was in a ski club. I went to a school in the inner city. We didn't have none of that extra stuff, right? We just had to survive. So
don't get me started laughing early, bro. I'm already about to start coughing.
So. And the couple who originally invited us, they obviously go every year. So I'm like, all right, cool. I'm like, well, where is it at? And they're like, well, it's at this place called Snowshoe in West Virginia. So I'm like, oh, okay. We have a road trip. We get to stay there a couple of nights. I get to try something new. The wife gets to try something new. We'll make it happen, right? So about a week passes. I'm talking to some people. And I'm like, hey, I'm going to go skiing for the first time. They're like, well, where at? And I'm like, Snowshoe. And they're like, and this is your first time? I'm like, well, yeah. And they're like, well, you should probably go somewhere else first because this is a real mountain. You might hurt yourself. I don't want you to seriously get hurt. I'm like, I'll be all right, right? So I'm talking to the wife. The wife is kind of concerned. So I'm like, babe, stop. Relax. Fast forward. We go there. We drive through a snowstorm. All right. So I'm like, all right, it's getting real. It's like a blizzard.
This is real
we
snow.
Finally get there. It's real snow, right? It's the middle of the night. It's beautiful. We're on top of this mountain. We go to sleep, wake up the next morning, look out the window, and it hits me okay, this is real. Like,
It just got real. It just got real.
Like, we are on a mountain. There ain't no take backs. Let's go, right? Like, I'm excited. We go get the stuff. The wife keeps telling me, like, hey, you should ski. It's easier. Like, everyone has told me skiing is easier. Don't snowboard. And I'm like, you know what? Snowboard looks cooler. I want to look cool.
I'm trying to look good, baby. I'm trying to look good out here.
Trying to look good, right? So I get my snowboard. She gets her skis. Everybody gets their gear, right? So my partner and his wife, they're snowboarding. My buddy who invited us and his wife, they're skiing. All right. So there's 3 skiers and 3 snowboarders. We go on the bunny hill. Immediately fall, right? And no one told me that snow is like not soft. Like if you fall on snow, it hurts, right? Like it's like falling on like the ground. Like it ain't no cushion, all right?
You thought you were gonna be falling on pillows?
Bruh, yeah. Like I didn't know. No one told me, all right? So I'm like, all right, the ground is hard, okay? So whatever. So we get to go a little bit. We're like, all right, cool. Like let's try a slope, a green slope. The easiest way down is what they call it. So I'm like, all right, cool. So we're going. And we're falling hard, right? And when I say we, it's just the wife and I. Like everybody else is flying.
Flying
past 5-year-olds on snowboards, right? And we're falling hard, right? So finally the wife, we're about halfway through, and it's not even the hard part yet. The wife, like, is giving it. And she's like, you know what? Like, I'm going to hurt myself. Like, I don't know what to do. And she's like on top of this hill, and she's like looking down. She's like, I don't know what to do. So for anybody who's married out there, I know both y'all are married. Y'all know how it is. You know what to do and what to say to make your spouse react a certain way, right?
Yep. So
I'm like, okay. I'm like, how do I convince my wife that there's no other way down except to go and to convince her to do it? So I'm like, all right, I'm gonna start pushing her buttons. So this is my fair foul, all right? So we're halfway down this mountain. There's no going back. The only way down is down, all right? So I look at my wife and I go, babe, you got to stop being soft. She looks with rage in her eyes and goes, you know what? Forget this. Puts her skis on. I'm like, all right, it's working. It's working. She went down this hill and she rolled down it. All right, there's skis going one way, sticks going the other. And in my head, I'm like, it's working, right? Like hopefully she's not hurt, but it's working. She's going down the hill. So I snowboard down. I fall where she fell. And I'm like, babe, don't be soft. And she looks at me. She's like, stop talking to me. And she gets up. It goes down. But the cool part about the story is that she fell twice. After the second time, she got up and smoked it, dude. Like she killed. Like she looked like she was a pro, right? Ooh. Like she stops, and I'm a proud husband. I'm like, yeah, babe, like you're doing great. And I'm falling, right, tumbling down this hill. So fair or foul. Should I have called my wife soft to get her down the mountain?
I see where you're going with the reverse psychology. I see where you was going. But
I think it's fair.
Okay.
Somebody calls me soft, I'm going down, but I'm going to be mad at you.
Yeah. Oh,
I'm gonna call you out on something too.
Oh, exactly. And it is. And, and my wife, she's gonna listen to this because she's very supportive and listens to the podcast, and she did an amazing job. And just to add to the story, no one told me that the ski lift is like a long journey. So we get on the ski lift afterwards, and I'm excited. I'm proud. Like, yeah, my wife just like killed this. She's gonna be excited to go back down. And there was an incident on the ski, like getting onto the ski lift where like she fell and you had to stop skiing. But I'm still excited, right? Like we just started this, and we on the ski lift, and I'm like, babe, like you did good. And she's just like gives me the look of death, and I'm like, okay, well, like. You excited to do another slope? And she just looks at me. I'm like, oh, this sure is taking a while. So, but she did amazing, and I was super proud of her. And
Mrs. Johnson, don't kill me when you come to Cali at the end of the month. Don't kill me when you come to Cali, because I appreciate everything you do, Mrs. Johnson. So let me preface my next statement by saying, Mrs. Johnson, you're a beast. But I'm going to have to go fair on this one. I have to go fair because the way I look at it is there's only one way down. There's only one way
Later.
down. And so you were thinking outside the box. Now my wife, she probably gonna be mad because she's gonna be like, "What you mean it's fair? That should be foul, fool."
Oh,
You know,
it's all-
but there's only one way down. So I gotta side with my boy AJ on this one. I'm about to call fair on that one, bro.
Yeah. You know what? She's a trooper. Afterwards, she went back down it. I think she only fell twice going back down. She beat me down it. So she dusted herself off and kept it moving. So I couldn't have been more proud.
I was cracking up because as you're like laying the foundation for this story, I'm just imagining you with all this like ski and snow gear on. You got like a big old beanie looking like Johnny Tsunami, and just and I went out there and just got obliterated by those mountains.
Hey, listen. So just to keep the story going. We went back down the same slope. She did amazing. She was like, you know what? Like, I'm gonna take a break. So I'm like, you know what? I'm overly confident. I'm gonna keep going. So my buddy goes, hey, let's go down to blue, which is like that's the next step, right? I'm like, let's go.
Got it.
I got it down, right? When I tell you, I thought I was gonna die falling down this mountain. Like that's how long I was falling down this mountain. Is I had time to think. Like, okay, well, here it is. So, any time now I'm gonna fall off this mountain.
Okay, Sonny Bono.
Yeah, exactly. And people were telling me about that story. So,
oh man, see, that's why I keep my antennas right here down this hill. It's funny. My son's been wanting to go to the snow. He's never seen the snow before, but I'm like, nah, bro, it's too cold up there. It's too cold. You hear me over here coughing.
What a California statement! Like my son has never seen snow before. Like that is such like a West Coast statement.
Hey, be quiet. Have you ever felt an earthquake?
Oh,
exactly. What an East Coast statement. Y'all ain't feel no earthquakes. Earthquakes is real deal down
the
here.
ground start shaking here. Something is all bad.
Hey.
Like something went terribly wrong.
Hey.
We got hurricanes though. That's just as bad.
I ain't messing with no hurricane. Oh, you
Tornadoes.
in North Carolina? Oh, tornado. Yeah, bump that. But man, I can't laugh too harder, guys, because I'm telling you, I'm hurt right now. So, go ahead.
So I do have one more question for Ashley. What advice would you have for females pursuing a male-dominated career?
I would say you need to be headstrong.
Yeah.
Don't think like you're owed something. Just go out there and prove yourself and prove your worth and prove that you can just go toe-to-toe with anybody.
There you go. Very good. Very good. One more, because my wife would never forgive me if I didn't do this. My wife is very much, on the girl power team, and I love her because of that. So if you could give advice, any piece of advice to every female out there, what would it be? Just in general, about life, career, success, whatever. What would it be?
I would say just never back down and never fear being strong, whether it's having muscles like I have or just being headstrong. Just never back down from a fight. Just
jump into it.
Yeah,
I love it.
go, jump in head first.
I love it. Tumble down that mountain.
Yeah, hey, we're gonna come up with a good title for this podcast. Hey, Ashley, again, I want to thank you for being on this podcast. It's tremendous, and thanks for being the first female or woman to be on this podcast. It's legit.
Paving the way.
Thank you. I really feel honored.
AJ's a female tonight too, since I called him a miss when we opened up.
Sure did.
You didn't even catch it initially. Hey,
I caught it. I was like, you know what? We're gonna let it rock.
Man, my eyes is halfway open. I wanna forgive all of our listeners and viewers for all the background coughing noises. I'll probably making some of y'all sick just listening to it. Y'all gonna start feeling like y'all got the flu as soon as y'all get done listening to this podcast. But truly, it's because of you guys that we continue to grow and our organizations to continue to grow. So without further ado, I definitely want to thank you, obviously AJ as well, always being on here with us, man. You become a really good friend of mine, man. So I want to thank you for that, and thank you for Ashley. Please tune in and watch the Beast tackle on the rest of the Titans before the end of the season. And if there's anything else, you guys got anything else before we get up out of here?
I'm excited. To see the Beast do what she does.
Thank you guys. I appreciate it. And with that, we'll call it a wrap. See y'all next week.